Hello and welcome, everyone. This is Michelle Howe. I am coming to you today again with another interview with a very special woman. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about her journey, her empath definition, the reason, why she has stepped forward to embrace this concept, and what she's discovered along the way about herself and where she's going with it. So I'm very, very excited. I hope you all learned something from each of these interviews. That's the whole purpose. And I want to say it's an honor to be here. The whole purpose, my purpose, is to bring this dynamic, which is about subtle energy, which is about being strong and aware of ourselves more fully. So we're not taken down by the dynamics around us, the people around us, the trauma around us, the things that are happening to each of us day in, day out throughout our lives. And hopefully we can learn these concepts a little earlier in life rather than, 40, 50s. We're learning about emotions. We're learning about how to minimize the heaviness that sometimes life can put on our shoulders. Sometimes we put that on our own shoulders without an awareness of how energy works and where do we want to go? How do we want to feel? All right. So I'd like to introduce you to Linda Youngchild. Hello, Miss Linda. How are you?
Okay.
Are you a little nervous? No need. This is just a conversation. So, tell me, Linda, where did you find out about the word empath?
Well, I'd have to say it was when I was sitting in this room with a bed in here, recuperating from my broken pelvis. There was just, I don't know, some information out there trying to understand it better. And I did some searching and just I had some books that I had been reading prior to my incident, but I had more time on my hands to really kind of focus on, checking things out on the computer and stuff.
Okay.
So,
Sit back just a little bit. Sit back just a little. All right. Thank you. I'm like, I'm seeing where you're at. I'm like, no, she's going to want to be a little bit further back. So you just said that you went through a pretty severe, serious accident.
yeah,
And you had to recover from pelvic surgery, correct?
not a surgery, but that it was broken in 4 places. And I was lucky that I didn't have any surgery, but I was bedridden and then had to learn how to walk all over again with a walker and physical therapy and
Stop hitting that. You're like every two. I know you're nervous. Don't be. So thankfully you didn't break your pelvis. Well, you broke your pelvis. You didn't need surgery.
didn't need surgery. That was kind of that was my blessing, because of a prior incident the year before that. I had broken had twisted my ankle at work and was under the assumption that I would heal. Well, I ended up getting a second opinion and it was a broken ankle. So I had just recuperated from that and had a second time physical therapy. So that was kind of why I was kind of going down the path of trying to figure out about me. And within that time frame, I was going through a lot of just the different emotions and trying to figure out me some more. And then the injury happened with the pelvis, and that was up at my son's on a snowmobile. I was thinking I could be the driver of it all on my own, and I took a corner and the snowmobile went one way and I went the other, and I landed in pure ice. And so I laid there while my son and my husband came over to get me and stuff. But while my son went to go get his truck, my husband and I were trying to figure out exactly where my pain was at. And I was actually standing up, and I went out. I went completely fainted on my husband. And that is when I don't know what I want to, other than experiencing like clouds or soft comfort. I don't know. It was a strange experience. But I had a very calming experience. And I woke up to my husband freaking out on me, shaking me, Linda, wake up. And I was like, everything's going to be okay. I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. Not knowing at that time what I was dealing with, other than it was a calming for me to be able to experience. And I wasn't in such a stress level of, I didn't know what I had broken. I know I was in a lot of pain, and I had something wrong with me, but I needed to be in control of me.
Right. Wow.
And so then we went over to my son's place. They were able to load me into the truck, unload me and get me in. And then all I did was ice the whole night, because of the hospitalization up there is not very good. And I don't even know exactly, other than the factor that.
So what you're telling me is that you went through before this accident, you were already exploring and trying to understand your own emotions and how you were feeling, correct? So it wasn't like a surprise that after you had this accident and now you're more immobilized, you're unable to do what you typically would do, which I believe you're like a runner, correct?
Used to be a runner, and more physically in shape. And that would be my stress level, would be I would go and walk and run. And when you can't do that, the stress level intensifies that much more. Just anything I would do, that's how I would relieve stress. Well, I was not relieving stress in any shape, form, other than wishing I could do something different.
So tell me a little bit about your feelings before and after. I mean, you're an intelligent, mature woman who's lived quite a life for yourself, but I almost see there's a pattern for us women. We get to a certain point in our life where, some people might blame menopause for it, and we could blame all kinds of things. There's lots of reasons, but I think there comes a point where we mature enough that we stop running and we start being real with ourselves about what we're feeling or what we're not feeling. I actually believe that it's almost like the buck stops here. I'm like, there's no way for you to run. There's no way for you to avoid. This is enough, and it's strong enough that you've got to look at it.
Yeah.
So tell me just a little bit about that, as much as you're comfortable with.
Is it more so with my own feelings that I was going through during that, within those time frames you're saying? Is that what you want me to go with? Or
just in general, what was coming up for you in those in your life that emotionally you felt you didn't feel on solid ground with what was going on?
between my sons and their lives, and just being a mom for the years that I've been as a mom and a caretaker for everybody, I was trying to start figuring out, I should say, I didn't know what I even wanted. So I was kind of going down the path of my son's dream also came to an end when I was recuperating from my injury, with my pelvis injury, that he was hanging up the baseball profession that he was going down and had been playing semi-pro. And this was a dream that we were all living through him, because he was playing ball. He was doing and living the dream, to not know that it was before the pandemic, but it was kind of his own decision and his way of saying, I think I'm done with baseball. And that was, I think, another way for me to go, gosh, I don't even know what my dreams are, or what do I want to even do. And now I'm pretty helpless, sitting and depending on my son and my husband, of what is it that I even want to do, or can I do? And that kind of made me look at things in a different light too, with just the things, how we take things physically for granted until we can't do them.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Um,
It's a humbling position to be in.
yes.
And I will speak because I'm a mother as well. Like, it's an all-consuming role to be a mom in a lot of ways. You're needed, you're wanted, you are it for the kids along with the husband. And it's a very busy time to be in that parenting role. But there comes a point where you can lose track of who you are.
Yes.
Very, very, very easily. And it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, we make choices along the way.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, if you're a little bit more about, what you want, what you're doing, it's about, you have to kind of balance how you show up. What kind of mom do you want to be?
Mhm.
And, what happens when that mom role diminishes or changes, things change. And all of a sudden, what used to fill you up because that was your role and that was, what you were in, is no longer there.
Right. I
And
was
same.
going to his baseball games. I was going and supporting wherever he was going to be at, all these different things that we were living for him. And I didn't even know what I wanted or needed, or had no idea. And trying to battle that without being depressed because I physically couldn't go walk, run, do anything at this point, of just realizing, gosh, I need to do something different. I need to figure out who I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that took you down like a personal development. So you didn't work for the first, like the winter and the spring of last year. Am I right?
No, the incident happened last January. What was it? December. No, it was December 29th of last of 20 and
2019.
2019.
Yep.
And then we went into 20, and then I was off work all of January. And then was coming back sometime in February. I came back to work in February. But what was stranger, part of that is that I was taking care of a student, because I work at the school as a para support staff. And this student depends on me because she's in a wheelchair. And before the incident, I trained another partner because she had never done the care and taken care of a student like this before. And so I connected with her very deeply, just a very caring person, and said, I'll teach you anything and everything that I can. I just can't teach you how to care. And we just connected from just a real deep connection. And during my injury, she was covering the whole time while I was out taking care of her, and I was supporting her, telling her, okay, you got to do this, or can you do that, or just in general working together as a team, and being able to vent and share her frustration because I understood exactly what she was going through. And Lord willing, the parent of this young lady's ended up moving back to Florida before I came back from my leave, and we had another week off of winter break.
Right.
And it was just a coincidence because I was scared to death on even knowing how I could even handle this person and take on this role. And that student left the state. So it was almost like another fear of my own that I was scared of was taken care of for me at that point, to come back to and not physically have to take care of her. And I had to learn to be physically capable of myself, let alone
Right, right. It would have been
someone
a big,
else.
it would have been a big thing for you. So this kind of opens up the door into the training that you went through last May. You started
Yep,
working with the Journey to Awakening program in May.
yep.
But the reason why you gravitated and you decided to take that program was what?
Was to find me, to find my strengths and what I was capable of doing,
Right.
and not so much it was an eye opener for not being able to take care of the young lady that I was taking care of, but the satisfaction that I also got from that, and understanding that those were my own gifts, that it's not something, because other people, my husband would always say, I don't know how you can have the patience for me or other people or other things. And I get energy from, I mean, I got energy from that, the young lady that was in the wheelchair. And I didn't realize that until I was away from it also. And I had no idea that, I mean, I experienced what I was experiencing and learning how to walk all over again. Um, and this young lady has cerebral palsy and will never be able to do what I was capable of doing. But I saw that in such a different way, that I don't know, I have more empathy about it all. I understand that, and it's not something I have to pretend of any sort. I understand it. I get it. Um, I'm not somebody that can pretend that I'm caring. I truly care about when somebody's got difficulties or whatever those circumstances are. And again, that's what's kind of changed my path lately too, with a job change, with being and going through what I've gone through, to realize I was not happy doing what I thought I was happy doing, but more of the involvement on a more personal level with students, instead of thinking I can fix the world.
Mhm. So what you're saying is you have progressed and learned along the way
Yes.
more of the depth of who you are and why you do what you do
Hmm.
and what you're not here to do. Like what
Yeah.
you're not here to get, I think a lot of people, empath, men, women, see so much pain and they feel so much pain in the world and they get such satisfaction from helping,
Yep.
fixing, right? We get such satisfaction from that it could really be to our demise to approach it like, who are we to fix? What are we fixing? What is really my responsibility? What is really yours? And what is really overbearing or really harmful to you to take away somebody else's power in a sense? Like
Yeah.
they're all, so if you enable, oh, you can't, oh, I'll fix, what happens? Everything kind of goes wrong. On your end, you're burned out, you're
Right.
frustrated. And on the other end, they become dependent
Mhm.
or they find fault with what you're doing, or you're not doing enough, or they keep on hanging on, wanting more. So it does become this insidious kind of a pattern.
Mhm.
And for the lack of a better word, it's not selfish
Mm-mm.
to know where your role is and to know and to allow others to do their things
And
without being the fixer. Let me fix,
yeah,
right?
and being able to say, I can't do more than this. This is what I'm only capable of doing, or you shouldn't I shouldn't be expected more. That's some of the things too that I've seen within this time frame that I could not say before. I was not able to say, whoa, this is my boundary here. You're asking way more. I just kept thinking, oh, I can do more. Oh, I can do more. And being the realistic part of it, and then being too afraid to speak that. Because I
Let's
wouldn't want to hurt anyone's feelings or anyone's, but yet I was not valuing my feelings. I was not valuing um how I was feeling.
Okay, so let's go into a little bit of the fear part of this.
Mhm.
And you started, the fear is there because I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. I don't want to
Correct.
feel them not be happy or feel them
Being
judge me
hurt.
in some way, right?
Yeah.
Being hurt by a no. Um, how do you step into that differently now?
Um, it's not been, well, I had to write.
Yes, you did.
Had to I had to write, and I did not want to go there. I didn't know that that's what I was really, it was, sometimes it was almost like that was easier than I thought, but harder because I had to go deeper than I wanted to go. Um, and I've gone there, and I've been able to kind of back up and go, okay, didn't like that place, but I knew what that place was and I needed to go there. And it gave me that strength to just kind of like, okay, perfect example of my husband. My husband and I married almost 34 years, and he's a recovering alcoholic. And I always thought I had to be on eggshells, and I didn't want him to have a reason to drink. I didn't want to be the reason for him to drink or any other fault that would be down that path. So it was just, okay, just don't make him mad, don't get him upset, just walk on eggshells. And it came out of nowhere when I was upstairs in my bathroom, and we had had some kind of a disagreement or some misunderstand, I don't know what it was, but I came back, never had this feeling in my life before. Came out of the bathroom and I just told him, I said, I am not afraid of you. And it was so empowering that those words really were meant to say those words to him. And I was not afraid. And I felt like, well, why did I feel any different than any time before that, other than I used the words and said I wasn't afraid of him. And I just had like this, I don't know, more power within myself that I'd ever felt ever.
Yeah.
And I don't feel afraid of him. I don't feel, and I have like this sassy kind of attitude, like, you can talk to me or say you whatever you want to say. No, it's not going to work that way anymore, Bucko. And I say that with just in general, and I feel differently even with my own sons. Um, I see things differently, and it's just kind of like, where have I been? I've been under a rock for so long, or whatever the reasons are, but it's not like I've done anything different other than faced it.
Right. But you went through the program,
Yes.
you got exposed to energy healing, you got
Yes.
exposed to concepts, ideas, insights that brought up an awareness. And
Awareness that I thought, well, I was some crazy person having these thoughts and feelings before, but there's other people that have these thoughts and feelings, and to go and understand those thoughts and feelings deeper, and to know that it was meaningful instead of taking on everybody else's energy. I'm actually being able to say, oh, I don't want to deal with that person because they're going to drain me. And understanding within my position that now that I've taken at work, um, understanding, and I would have never understood it if I hadn't gone through our class and understood with just what some things can drain and what other things that don't. I'm working with less students, but there's a different kind of high drainage, and I didn't understand it until this past week, and why I was like, why am I exhausted? But I'm working with more autistic children, and there's one that is very vocal, and hearing that tone and vocal coming from her on a continual basis, realizing I also was told she doesn't like people like she does, and she liked me automatically, and I played a game with her and stuff. But I don't know if she's communicating with me more, and it's because it's like I'm understanding her and I'm not a threat to her. But it was empowering for me to realize I have to be careful with what her energy can do to me on her. I'm protective right now, and I guess it's better to be that way than to just be letting this student just drain me because I didn't know what was going on. And again, I have to realize I've got to I had to realize that. I never realized that before. Other students were draining me and I just didn't even realize it, but then I gave them that much more energy because I saw so many people not give energy back to them. I don't know if that makes sense, but just that,
You felt that they needed support
yeah,
and you were there, and that's like the heart of an empath is to give. It's you're going to feel what
yes,
that person feels.
yes,
So you certainly want to help. You just have to keep in mind what's helpful to you and what's not,
yeah, yeah.
right?
And working in the normal public high school was draining because there's so much more going on, and I just am like, can't other people see this? Can't other staff members see this? And they would treat me almost as if like I was some kind of crazy woman, well, Linda, they're tired, or yeah, they're sleepy. I'm like, they're doing drugs or they're doing this. So you guys, can't you see these things? And then within that, I started realizing I'm trying to fix so many more students that I mean, I'm never gonna give up on any of the kids, but I had to deal with myself in a different light to realize the kids that really need me, I can give that energy back and help them.
There's a point where, and certainly we don't want to give up on
Right.
anybody, but there is a point where, but there is an awareness of where you can do help and they're receptive to the help and it's working. And when you help and it's just falling by the wayside, and you help and it's falling by the wayside. So you're always looking for that click, that give and take that's empowering to them and to you,
Right.
not just empowering to them along the way. So I always ask this question, I like it. What is your definition of an empath now that you've kind of seen this a little bit more?
Well, I'm excited that I can learn more about myself just because um it's just making me realize that I wasn't crazy. Um, I will have to ignore that. um, just that I wasn't the things that I was seeing in people and in things. It was really happening, and
Right.
I needed to. In placing myself in a different situation, it's almost as if how I've dealt with my husband differently. It's like taken off so much less stress in our marriage. Kind of like, okay, there's 30 some years. I know people get divorces after a certain time frame and you feel like you've given, but I've actually seen a change in my husband just because there's been a change in me.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
and that's where it's kind of like, I don't know, it's unlimited to me. And I know that. But I also want to have, I don't want to get myself drained um so much. I mean, again, this last week, starting this new job and understanding that's why I'm so drained, because going from continuously trying to help all these different students all over the place and trying to just feel like I was hitting my head against the wall to where I'm now working with different students and it's like, oh my gosh, I can see what that one's going to do and I can stop it before it even happens. Um,
Can you?
yeah, I literally can see some of the things that are going to go on. And I'm like, oh, these people haven't seen that. Oh, this is a young man. And he's an autistic Down syndrome young man. And I can be ahead of the steps that he's going to do. And it was just kind of like, I like this challenge. And I can see that in so many of the different students. And then hearing it from the other staff members saying, we only focus on our kids. which was like, wow, I don't have to focus on a full high school and think I need to fix all these other kids that I'm just, hitting my head against the wall.
So
But
it's almost like you first of all, you didn't have the awareness that you were tuning in.
yeah,
Empaths have the capacity to feel and sense and know. All right.
yeah,
Everyone's a little bit different how much we know, right? But when you really care,
yep,
it pulls at you and it's painful to watch. So if you're like a very active person, which you are, Linda, you are, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to fix that. And you're in that situation, it could be frustrating because you're spotlighting all the things that are wrong. You know what they all are.
yep,
And it's blaring at you, but it's disempowering because you're not necessarily in a role to fix all of it. And,
correct.
and it's not really your job to fix all of it. So there's that overwhelm from
Yep,
tuning in to too many things
yep,
that are happening. And yeah, that would cause burnout. It would be such a huge driver. Women, we could suppress all kinds of things about ourselves and what we want and what we need because we're soaking in and we're there for everybody else's needs
yeah.
versus our own. Plus, I think that getting into the 40s, age 40s and 50s, as women, we're looking at quality. What is the quality of my life?
Yeah.
What am I really feeling like? Who is really here for me? Who am I really? And there's like a maturity to that. And certainly in our 20s, we're going to school, we're getting a husband, we're dating, right? In our 30s, we're raising our children. Oh, we're busy with PTO, we're busy with this, we're busy with that. We could be struggling. You probably struggled at some point all along.
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay, so tell me if you went back to your childhood, your teenage years, your young adult years, did you see these empath patterns, this knowing, this feeling? How did it actually impact you back then?
Well, and I didn't know it then, but as having a daycare and preschool in my home, I didn't really, because I knew the kids back then. I could read a kid, and I didn't understand it though. I mean, I did, but I didn't. It wasn't hard, and I love the kids. I've never, ever, ever, ever been burnt out with the kids, but I just didn't understand how much I really did know about kids then. I mean, you can't get taught that, and no matter how many books or whatever, you're going to be able to understand kids once you're around them. And that's when I started really trying to figure out, oh, I should do this or I should do that. But what I got my energy and my excitement and my joy, because it's not going to be anybody else's joy but what's in your own personal heart and what you want, is what I got was helping those students, or the connection with the different students. And because I'm now working with another, of course can't say any names or anything, but there's another student that's in a wheelchair and has had a bad experience, and her and I had already just bonded. But I knew that this was because what she's been dealt in the past, yet I understand because of what I'd already come over with my pelvis experience, but just the connections that I have with the kids. And it's not, I know how to deal with an attitude, and I'm going to call it what it is and not take it personally. There's a difference when you're dealing with a teenager and it's a teenager with an attitude, or it's a teenager that doesn't know what they're dealing with because life is thrown so many curves to them.
So you've always been able to distinguish that, or is that something new?
It's something I think I was able to, but now I'm understanding it with this empath and understanding wow, you knew that already, Linda, but you just didn't have that confidence in yourself to realize that that's what it was that you were actually understanding.
It's almost building you up, strengthening you up,
Yeah,
confirmation, movement forward, and then full speed ahead you go because now you've got a little bit more of an idea of the functionality of this car, right? I know
yes,
how this works. I know what's
yeah,
happening. to some degree, oh, I've got to learn that. So it's almost like we become more introspective, more aware,
Yes.
stronger, and
Stronger.
stronger.
Yeah, stronger. And then realizing it that it's not something that's even hard for me. That's, I think, been my other awakening to it too, has been because I also do clients private, well, it's through the state that I'm a home health care aide, but I work with special needs. And I was helping a lot of different ages, but I always would come back. I really enjoy the autistic areas just because I get it. I get their sensitivity. I get it because people always would say, "Oh, they don't have feelings." Baloney, they have feelings. They just have different kinds of feelings, and it's a different way that you got to connect with them because they have a lot of deep feelings. People just don't know how to read. It's that connection that you can have with them. And I have a new client in that family, and this it was last Saturday. It's a young, as like you said, in their 20s. The parents are in their late 20s, I think, or early 30s, and they've got three children, and they have one with the special needs. And it's the mom is a nurse, and the dad was there taking care of the kids, and I come in to give him a break with the one special needs student. And that dad needed to hear that he was a wonderful dad because he was doing the best job that he could. And it just made me realize, oh my gosh, this dad really needs to know that he is doing a wonderful job. And he felt so bad because this little girl, all she could do was cry mommy.
Right.
And I knew that, yet that was what was so weird. He's like, because I feel so bad, Linda, I'm so sorry. And I go, it's okay. It's okay. I get it. And all I could do, and it was like, I knew that's all she needed was to go to sleep. But this dad was trying everything. And he goes, I'm just going to try to put her to sleep. And she was out like that. And while he was with her, I was watching the other two to make sure that they were okay. And just the joy that I got from them and the whole in general was like, this was not work for me. This was enjoyment. And then to tell the dad, you're doing a wonderful job, which I knew that he needed to hear that. And a dad with 3 kids under 5, how many dads out there that are going to take on all 3 kids and do the best that they possibly can?
Right. I love it, Linda. I love it. I love it. So what's next for you?
Well, like I said, my new job, my position is different. Kind of figuring out where I fit within the whole demeanor of the different teamwork area with the people that I'm working with. It's different to come into a group of women that are very supportive of each other from where I'm coming from in the past. It's kind of, and it was nice to hear from one of the other staff members and say, she goes, we take care of each other. And and she goes, when we're caretakers, that's what we know how to do. And it was a reassuring kind of a feeling. And this is a woman that did not ever have children, and she gives this love to these kids. And it's like, these kids are so lucky to have somebody to love them back, and she has a very calming effect too.
So the distinguishing the environments, working
Yeah.
that we could be in, and choosing something that is more empowering, because the other option is being drained every day.
Drained and feeling like you're just hitting your head against the wall.
Right, right. So taking your needs and your desires and what you need into account, because you can't necessarily change
No.
somebody else's environment, right? Certainly
Right.
you can protect yourself, but
Right.
in total, it is what it is, right?
Right.
As far as your personal growth, is there anything specific you're looking at that
There's
what do you
that
got?
what? Well, I brought it up to you the other time. I'm actually looking at wanting to do a book, just to be able to help. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, and that's where I having my own challenges in school and learning learning difficulties that I felt were my challenge is yet really has been a gift to understand and to I don't know, just try to understand wherever that's, I don't know what that looks like other than my own some of my own mistakes to help others not have to go through the hard lessons.
Right. 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 I hear you. I hear you. Well, when we go through something firsthand, we know what it is. Until we go through something, we don't know what it is. So it's always good to leave a legacy, leave some sort of a footprint so somebody else doesn't feel alone and has that, especially when it comes to emotional things. Emotional things, people don't talk about them because it's too painful.
Right,
But
right.
there's a learning and there's a gift in that, and that's something we can share with others. And
Mhm.
it shapes us. I mean, we're not the same. I mean, I've had my my chance, or my own version of being incapacitated, being, and you really come to a humble place
Yeah,
where you really are confronted with, geez, I didn't know life could be, I could be stopped dead in my tracks.
yeah,
And guess what? All the things that you thought were good and empowering and helpful to you are no longer there.
yeah,
And how do you survive through those periods? And who's the person you're going to be when those challenges, when you move through those challenges to get to the other side? It doesn't make it easier, but there's a silver lining to it because you do become a different person.
mhm,
So, and I like Linda. I like the Linda I have in front of me. I probably would have liked you a year ago too. So we just move through that to the next level of who we are. The most important part is, where's our heart? How are we feeling?
mhm,
I mean, you could have everything going or seemingly going really well, but if you don't feel good,
mhm.
it doesn't matter what the outside looks like. It doesn't matter what other people think of you, because at the end of the day, you cannot escape how you feel
Right.
inside.
And that was some of the advice that I would always, didn't know it then, but to different advice to my son's girlfriends. And a few of them, it was one of those, I said, I need to be able to look myself in the mirror. If you can't look yourself in the mirror, that's when you're having some difficulties with something.
Right, right.
And to that, where it was like, if I can say that to others, am I living that myself?
Mm. A lot of people do have the advice to give, but they're not walking the walk of what that
Mhm.
is.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being my guest here today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to just close this a little bit and thank you for listening to Linda's story. Thank you for being present here and following Empath Evolution. If you have any questions, you can email me, you can message me. Look at Empath Evolution. We have some free gifts and we have an online community with some training that happens every week. I wish you a fantastic day and we'll talk to you soon.